Hello everyone. In this next blue light hotspot, we are going to be focusing in on Portugal. So hello everyone in Portugal who has been writing me. Definitely when I went to tune in, Portugal was at the top of the list this time. And just like many of the other places that I tune into, it was full of surprises for me. But for all of you in Portugal and for probably many people in the world, what I'm going to be talking about may not be surprising to you. So, if you're new to my channel, I'm Nancy and I tune into the frequencies in the world, and I tune in as a registered nurse to the frequencies in your human energy field and everything in between. But since the celestial blue light has started coming through in 2019, I've been talking a lot about the star beings, the Sirians to be exact, Orion's belt. We've been talking about Pleiadians, many star cultures. And so in November of 2023, there was an enormous surge of blue light that really supercharged some blue crystals in the earth, according to my guidance and my vision. And then out of that blue comes to the surface that's coming through. I think it's coming through every country in the world, but today we're going to talk about Portugal. So the way that I like to do this, first of all, I want to invite all of the intuitive archaeologists that have been following along so that you can do a deeper dive into any other details that I might not know about Portugal. But right away, when I went to tune into Portugal, the very first sense that I had to do with fault lines, earthquakes and fault lines. And so that was the very first thing that I saw. I saw a very kind of a large curved fault line coming down throh Chaves. We don't even need to mark this on the map, but it was kind of right down the middle from the upper part of Portugal, kind of went halfway down Portugal, but there were definitely several other fault lines. At the same time I was being shown these fault lines, it was almost like I could see a large gap, like there would be a separation of the fault lines that might be as big as a mile wide. And I could see this beautiful blue light really radiating out from underneath, almost like there would be no light, and then that crack opens up, and then just all this light comes flooding out. So that's what the image looked like to me. But it seemed rather large and deep in the earth underneath Portugal. I mean, it was deep. I don't even know how deep. 500 miles deep if I were to kind of do a guesstimate. And as I could hear water, so I could definitely hear trickling of water coming through almost like halfway under Portugal, but I could hear waves as if there was this ocean movement underneath Portugal. So then I was really outside right on the coast, right out in the water. There was this sense of almost like this kind of pulling apart. And then there was this sense of kind of like land kind of rolling on top of each other. So what I know is that when you have the fault lines and you've got two bits of land, it's like you can have, as they come together, it's like one can move over the top of one, or it can move underneath one. And so they kind of rub up against each other. So I was having that sense about out in the Atlantic Ocean, there was this kind of coming together. So it was like pulling apart in Portugal, coming together out in the Atlantic Ocean. And so I did actually go look it up, and sure enough, there is a subduction zone. So that's where one piece of land goes under the other, and it can kind of curl, and it can cause friction. So that there is a subduction zone. So I invite you to go look that up to get some more information. Because I had this sense of almost like part of Portugal separating from that area near Spain. So it seemed like a separation, but the sense that I had was that separation may take about 1,000,000 years. So if any of you are a little worried about, your neighbor across the way and you will be separated anytime soon, that's not the sense that I'm getting, that it could still be millions of years away. All right. And as I said, I could hear water flowing underneath part of Portugal. And then I picked up a really strong dolphin energy. So this is how I do it. It's like I'll tune in, I'll write Portugal, I put my hands on there, really tune in to what I'm intuitively getting. So I got a strong dolphin energy, very, very, very strong. So it was kind of similar to Japan, but in a different sort of way. And it was almost as if I could hear the dolphins communicating. More than the dolphin chatter, it was almost like a very strong telepathic communication coming from the dolphin energy. And then I sensed an extremely strong feminine energy. It was like a blue wave. So I said it's like a blue wave of light melting the predominant old male guard. So again, I've not been to Portugal. I know nothing about Portugal, but again, it came through a very strong feminine blue wave of photonic light that's moving across Portugal into Spain, and that it is melting away the old system of the old male, I want to get the words right, predominant old male guard is what I heard. Then what came up was a big resounding word was protection. So that word came up really strong, protection. And then, I wrote loud. I can't even read my own handwriting. Defenses. So I heard the word defenses, protection, and then I heard the words
crush the enemy.
All right. So all that was kind of like loud, and the way that I'm going to explain it, it was like bravado, where it's like, I'm the protector. I'm going to protect against the defenses. I'm going to crush the enemy. I am strong. So it's that kind of bravado, but it seemed like almost behind it, it's like a big dog, but behind it is the little dog that's speaking through a microphone. So again, it's almost like this sense of the old male guard frequency is slowly starting to disintegrate, and there's this real beautiful feminine aspect, not little at all, very mighty, very strong, that's coming in to bring balance and harmony. So then after that part, I write wave, then there's this wave of angels singing. And even now, as I'm saying it, I can hear many, many angels in that area just singing, just a host of angels just singing. And it doesn't seem like it's how can I say it, a temporary event. It doesn't seem like the angels were just singing because I was tuned in. It seems like for some reason there's always a lot of angelic influence in Portugal. And then specifically a very strong Archangel Gabriel influence. Very, very, very strong. Now, it almost felt like Gabriel is this enormous messenger. And so then I wrote down strong Gabriel Archangel influence. And then when I looked it up, because I was getting the messenger of God, when I looked it up, it was like heralds. Archangel Michael heralds God's strengths, heralds the might of God, and is the messenger of God's or delivers God's messages. So again, there's probably many of you very familiar with Archangel Gabriel. I am not, but I could and can feel the strength of Archangel Gabriel. So I invite you to look that up a bit more. Now, this is where the breadcrumbs from Spirit started coming in pretty quickly. So now these are the breadcrumbs. So I get the first message, visions, messages, visions and messages. So this is all about Portugal. This is like the frequency in Portugal is visions and messages. And then I hear from the spirit realm that Portugal is genetically DNA predisposed to have visions and prophecy. All right, so all of my friends out there in Portugal, I want you to hear this message loud and clear that if you have Portuguese DNA, any genetics of Portuguese, of your ancestors, even if you don't live in Portugal, you live around the world, from what the spiritual realm, the angelic realm is saying, is that anyone of Portuguese descent and currently in Portugal is predisposed to having a large capacity to have visions, and not only visions, but prophetic visions. And prophecy is more of like a knowingness, like you have a sense, you have a knowingness that something is about to happen. So I'll just tell you, that surprised me. And I heard predisposed for visions, prophecy, and giving messages of the heart. And it has a very strong frequency in Portugal that helps you to align with your purpose. So this is what I'm getting. And I'm like, okay, so are you saying that anyone who really wants to be aligned with their purpose needs to go to Portugal? And I heard it wouldn't hurt. So, okay. So, all right. So then I went to go do a search in Google. And because of all those little messages that I was getting intuitively. So what they're quite very well known for is the sanctuary of Our Lady of Fatima and the Chapel of Apparitions. So they have a chapel of apparitions. So I'm going to tell you the story. I know you all are going to horse laugh me out of the barn because I did not know this. So if you've ever heard of the three young children back in 1916, Lucia dos Santos, I didn't write the last names of her two cousins, Francisco and Juanita. The three children claimed to have an apparition of an angel. So they were out in the fields. They had a vision. An apparition appeared to them as this angel. And they were very serious that this angel had come. And they went home and they told their parents. So then on May 13th, 1917, these same three children were unwaveringly, absolutely, with total certainty, positive that they had a vision, that the Mother Mary came to visit them, that they had a vision. Now, in just my little commercial break here, this is why my intuitive senses, I'm being told that Portugal has that prophetic and vision ability, that anybody with that DNA has that. So to learn this, I found it so exciting. I was so excited. So that was in May 13th, 1917. And then in October of 1917 was the miracle of the sun. So the three children had told everybody, and the word was spreading wildly, that Mother Mary had come to visit in May 1917. And Mother Mary gave the children the message that she would be returning on October 1917, and she was going to perform miracles. So this is called the miracle of the sun, and they actually have old photographs of this event happening where pilgrims came from all over the world to experience this, and there was an enormous bright light that came through. That's why they call it the miracle of the sun. And said Mother Mary would come, appear, and perform miracles for everyone. So there's a lot there for the intuitive archaeologist to investigate. So then they built the Chapel of Apparitions and Visions. They built the Sanctuary of Our Lady of Fatima, and that sanctuary is visited by 5 million people a year. 5 million people who make a pilgrimage to that site every single year. So then somewhere I found out, can you believe they jailed the kids? So this is part of the story, is these kids were young and they threw them in jail because the children who were citing these visions, the political system felt like they were upsetting the political system too much. They were really shaking things up, and they didn't want to be out of control of that. I mean, how about you all out there who are intuitive and you're psychic and you may have visions, you have intuitive impressions, you just have a knowingness about things that are going to happen, and then you wonder why you're afraid to share it? Well, that's a perfect example of these children absolutely knew without any hesitation that they were being visited by Mother Mary and an archangel. So the children did come out of prison, and I just wanted to say that the two cousins, apparently they died in 2000 either. I keep doing that. 1918 or 1919, there was a disease and illness that came through, and the two cousins died. And Lucia dos Santos lived until 2005. She was a nun and she lived. And there were 3 messages that were given by Mother Mary. What I'm told is, or what I read was that those messages were never shared. I think 2 of them have come true. I'm not sure that the third one's come through. So again, I invite you to do a deeper dive. Then what came through was that there is a sacred lake that connects with that underwater area that where I can hear the angels sing and I can hear the telepathic communication of the dolphins. And that lake is on, I think it's San Miguel Island, and it's called the Lake of Fire. It is a crater lake, beautiful. It's in the Azores Natural Reserve, and it's known for its crystalline blue waters. So I'm going to wrap this up with one more event. And in this event, this is what someone wrote to me about, that something happened just a couple of weeks ago on May 20th, 2024. There was this enormous blue light that came out of the sky like a fiery ball of blue light. And there are images on the internet that you can look at. And in some angles, it just was this enormous blast of light. So definitely it says it was a meteor that exploded, and they think that part of it landed around Castro Daire, which is very much near the Atlantic Ocean. They said the rest of it landed in the Atlantic Ocean. So for me, I was like, all right, that was a meteor that exploded. It brought a bright light. But now, after I tuned in and all of this other, the miracle of the sun and the apparitions of the archangels, the apparitions of Mother Mary, and the bright light, it took on, for me, it took on an entirely different meaning. So I'm going to leave that right there with all of you. It is definitely a sacred place. It is a place of miracles. But the energy frequencies, you've heard me talk about those frequencies, those tapestries that come together, high level of visionary, prophetic ability. And so from what I can sense is that was there long before Fatima. That was long before the children had their visions. It was long before the apparitions came. That's just a natural thing for the Portuguese people. So I look forward to hearing from all of my friends in Portugal, as well as anybody else who taps in and maybe picks up more information. Please share it. Love to get many more details if you happen to have them. I will be watching the comment section for those. And thanks for tuning in, and I will see you on the next Blue Light Hotspot.